Hey guys, it's Jay here, back on my NFL channel for 2022 season. To recap week 15, I got 11 out of 16 predictions correct. But let's jump on week 16. We got a few playoff lurking teams here. Number 1, Jacksonville at New York Jets, and I'm picking the New York Jets winning in overtime, 22-19. I believe that the Jets defense has been promising, although they haven't been on track the last 3 games, but I think they can turn it around when the Jaguars visit. And I think Zach Wilson, he just needs to do better, and I think he will be able to capitalize on the opportunities with his receivers, given the Jacksonville Jaguars allowing 34 points to Dallas last week despite winning. I believe that Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, I think the Jets defense will do their job. So it's going to be all New York. The fans are going to get loud. The fans want a playoff spot. So it's going to be New York. Number 2, Atlanta at Baltimore. And I'm picking the Ravens winning 20-17. Okay, the Ravens were just off track last week in Cleveland, and the Falcons, yeah, they just lost. They got swept by the Saints. And looks like the the AFC bird is going to get the better chance because they have more of a rushing attack than Atlanta does, and they got a better defense than Atlanta does. So, regardless if Lamar's back or not, the Ravens will still win, and they will still cash in a playoff spot. Number 3, Detroit at Carolina, and I'm picking the Lions winning 30-20. All right, the Lions have been red hot. Started out 1-6, now they're 7-7. So I expect Jared Goff, DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, entire Lions offense and defense to make plays against Sam Darnold, who's the quarterback for the Panthers right now. And even though the Panthers had some late victories in the season, they're not going to make the playoffs because their division is tight, and some teams may have already swept Carolina. It depends if Tampa Bay beats Carolina in the final matches, but Detroit, they're going to get this win. Their defense is playing hella good since Aubrey Pleasant got fired. So, no Aubrey Pleasant, well, the Lions kept rolling. Number 4, Seattle at Kansas City, and I am picking the Chiefs winning 30-17. Geno Smith is no match for Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is just a better quarterback, and Geno Smith, you can't throw interceptions like this. You can't take sacks. You did a pretty bad job against the Niners, although I will say this, the Niners were very good, but you're going against a top 5 team in the NFL. And the Chiefs, they know business, they know how to handle business, and they are on their mission to secure the number 1 seed, which is currently occupied by Buffalo. But I believe Kansas City will continue to have its hopes to get the number 1 seed. And with that being said, Geno Smith is going to have a hard time finding Metcalf and Brown. Given that Lockett's already out, it's going to be hard for Geno. And it might be hard for Kenneth Walker as well, because you can never take your eyes off the Chiefs' defense. Number 5, New Orleans at Cleveland. And I am picking the Saints winning 20-17. Even though Cleveland has a better record than New Orleans, I am still confident that New Orleans can continue to push its playoff hopes alive and surprise Cleveland with an upset. Deshaun Watson hasn't been playing his best football since he returned from suspension. Whereas Andy Dalton, I mean, he's capable of winning games, but this Saints team has just been off track a lot. So I think that when the Saints march into Cleveland, they'll be able to handle business, and they will be able to expose Deshaun Watson's weaknesses. Number 6, Houston at Tennessee, and I am picking the Titans winning 20-13. Okay, you got two bottom offenses, while the Titans are clearly the better team than the Texans because they have more wins and they have been a bit more consistent. The Texans, on the other hand, they're basically inconsistent. And I can guarantee Malik Willis will find a way to use his legs and his arms to create big plays, to put the Titans in field goal range or to score touchdowns. Derrick Henry, as usual, will always get the bulk of the load. He will expose the Texans' secondary by running over 200 yards like he did last time in Houston. And I'm sure the Titans' defense will be able to intercept Davis Mills several times to give their offense a better chance. So it's all going to be Derrick Henry in this game. Do not take your eyes off the king, because he is going for the title. Number 7, Cincinnati at New England. And I'm picking the Bengals winning in overtime, 24-21. I mean, Joe Burrow, he's been on fire since that 4-4 start. He's won 6 games in a row. And New England, on the other hand, they have to recover if they want to make the playoffs. And with Jacoby Myers pretending to throw the ball to Chandler Jones as if he's the wide receiver, that's just a big no-no play. You can't do that. And the Bengals are just dangerous on offense. They got good receivers on offense. They got a good running back. New England has a good running back, but they aren't super hot on offense. It's mainly their defense, but I believe that the Bengals will come in to New England with a surprise to Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. There is no way the Patriots are winning, and there's no way the Patriots are making the playoffs because they have to play against hard opponents, and the Bengals are one of them. Number 8, New York Giants at Minnesota, and I am picking the Vikings winning 40-23. Okay, nothing more can be said about the Vikings because Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Dalvin Cook, they've been cooking along this season. You see Kirk Cousins with the chains, he's going to wear them again after he beats Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley's team. And honestly, the Giants have not scored above 30 points. The Vikings, on the other hand, have, and they just pulled off the massive, biggest comeback in NFL history. So no matter what Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley can do with their legs, Kirk Cousins will always find a way to win and to provide a curse for Daniel Jones and his crew. And the Vikings have already clinched their playoff spot. Perhaps you'll see them as the number 2 seed. Number 9, Buffalo at Chicago. And I'm picking the Bills winning 30-21. Justin Fields may not get the better of the Bills' defense, but he will be able to use his feet on some plays to get first downs. But I think the Bills' defense, they will only let the Bears kick field goals. Josh Allen, phenomenal player, already clinched the playoff spot, but there's no doubt that Buffalo will clinch the division. Josh Allen knows what he has to do. He's got his main receiver, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, and he can count on Devin Singletary to run the ball. So it's going to be all Buffalo. They will create a big lead, only to have Chicago miss on a crucial 2-point conversion to make the game 1 score. So it's going to be all Buffalo. Chicago will only get Justin Fields to carry the team. And that's basically it for Chicago because they're done. They're eliminated. Number 10, Washington at San Francisco. And I'm picking the 49ers winning 40-17. The 49ers defense and the 49ers themselves have been on fire. They have won 7 games in a row since 3-4 losing to the Chiefs. And when Brian Robinson tries to run the ball, he's going to be held to below 60 yards of yard gain. Taylor Heinicke will get intercepted, Taylor Heinicke will get sacked, and Brock Purdy will continue to play amazing because he's just that type of guy. Everyone calls him Big Cock Brock. George Kittle caught 2 touchdown passes from him against Seattle, and the 49ers swept the Seahawks for the first time since 2011. So I can see the 49ers just absolutely harassing Washington Commanders. And with that being said, they will probably go as the number 3 seed, most likely. So it's going to be all San Francisco, their defense, their offense, everything. No question about that, because they're just a phenomenal team. Number 1 defense you could ever see. Number 11, Philadelphia at Dallas. And I am picking the Cowboys winning 36-33. Gardner Minshew is starting for the Eagles. And you got him against Dak Prescott. The number 1 team in the NFL versus America's team. Well, I think America's team is going to get the better of this because Dak Prescott has been putting a significant amount of points on the board, but you can't blow up big leads. You can't throw an interception. You gotta have better time management, and I think the Cowboys will be able to put up a scoring frenzy against the Eagles. It's going to be a hard-fought win, hard-fought on offense, and maybe the Cowboys' defense will have a takeaway in the middle of the fourth quarter. And I am sure Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard will find a way to put the Cowboys in a field goal range in the closing minutes of the fourth quarter. Dallas will be a wild card, but Philadelphia will clinch the division. But I think Dallas needs this win in order to keep Mike McCarthy's job safe. And Dallas, they just seem to be more frenzy on offense and defense than Philadelphia does. Philadelphia may have won close games, but not close enough to what the audience was expecting. Number 12, Las Vegas at Pittsburgh. And I am picking the Raiders winning 28-21. The Raiders got lucky last game. They literally won on a Chandler Jones wide receiver touchdown. And with the Steelers trying to make a late playoff push, unfortunately, this will be Mike Tomlin's first losing season as head coach. And Kenny Pickett does not have that much experience as Derek Carr does. Even though the Steelers' defense may be playing well with T.J. Watt, I am sure Derek Carr will find a way to get Davante Adams separated from the defenders. And I'm sure Max Crosby and Chandler Jones will find a way to sack Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky, whoever it is starting at quarterback. But altogether, at the end, Mike Tomlin gets his first losing season as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 13, Green Bay at Miami. And I am picking the Dolphins winning 29-24. Well, seems like Tua is going to be heading back home after losing 3 road games in a row. It seems like Aaron Rodgers can't be able to play at what he was doing or do what he was doing when Davante Adams was on the Packers. But with that being said, Tua just has better receivers. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, first wide receiver duo in the Dolphins to have 1,000 yards each receiving since 1990. And Tua knows what he's going to do. He's going to pass to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is going to expose the Packers secondary, and so will Jalen Waddle. Both of them are going to have above 100 yards receiving and at least 1 touchdown for both receiver. So, nothing more can be said. This Dolphins team is absolutely fire on offense, and it's in Hard Rock Stadium, so they're going to put on a show at their home. The Dolphins will clinch the playoffs, but only as a wild card. Number 14, Denver at Los Angeles Rams. And I'm picking the Rams winning 17-13. Both of these teams are 4-10. Both these teams are eliminated. It's just going to be a show what you know kind of thing. It's not even going to be a fun game because with Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson not playing as what they used to be playing at, this game's not going to be worth it because Denver, they just suck. I mean, if Denver loses, it's good for Seattle. So perhaps Seattle might be rooting for the Rams because they want a better pick. But Denver, Russell Wilson, he's been injured, he's got concussed, he's been betting, and then you got Baker Mayfield, who literally lost to Green Bay on Monday night. And with that being said, Although I will say the Rams have a better defense than the Broncos do, a little bit better, but it's going to be a very defensive game. Both defenses are going to play their asses out, but I think Baker Mayfield will find a way to win the game and beat the Broncos because the Broncos just suck. The Broncos are basically the worst team in the NFL. Number 15, Tampa Bay at Arizona, and I'm picking the Buccaneers winning in overtime, 24-18. Tom Brady, he's being a little inconsistent, but the Cardinals, they're eliminated. Tom Brady needs to win this game to keep his playoff hopes alive, and the Buccaneers will win the game. They have had a wide receiver who's been playing all season, unlike DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown, who got injured and suspended. And with Mike Evans very close to having his 1,000-yard reception for the 9th straight season, I think he'll make it again. I think Tom Brady will find Mike Evans down the field, and Tom Brady will hopefully find a way to build a big lead, but then maybe Arizona perhaps tries to tie the game but force it in overtime. But altogether, Tom Brady, he knows what he has to do. He's a veteran, 23 years in the NFL. He knows what he has to do, and he will win the game. So no question about that. Number 16, Los Angeles Chargers at Indianapolis, and I'm picking the Chargers winning in overtime, 27-24. Nick Foles is starting for the Colts, whereas you got Justin Herbert, who's one of the top 5 leaders in passing. He is going to win the game. He knows what he has to do. He has Austin Eckler, he has Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, and even though the Chargers defense may not be the best defense in the NFL, the Chargers offense does throw for a lot of yards. So, Nick Foles, on the other hand, he's not going to find his receivers pretty well. Perhaps the special teams will set up Nick Foles and the offense, but, it's not going to be all him. Nick Foles hasn't even played much football. So, it's going to be all Justin Herbert, and the Chargers will find a way to go 9-6 and perhaps sneak into the playoffs as a wild card. Alright, that's it for week 16. If you haven't, subscribe, and I will be back for week 17 next week.